There it is.
And we are live, everybody. I want to thank everybody that's joined us. Hi, Caitlin. Saw Caitlin's here. Caitlin in the house. And my co-host, Dan McNew, Just the Facts, man. And my other co-host, Lou Mars, is actually at a party in Chico. I guess it's called a garden party. And he's still going to participate with us.
Private tennis court. So it's ridiculous.
Right.
Nowadays,
it is ridiculous.
Just even the park is ridiculous.
Right.
What you're saying, Royce?
No. I was just agreeing with you. That's all.
No. And I want to tell the people right now, the reason I'm yelling, for one, and I'm in this private tennis court. I'm at a little bit of a mansion. Over here is a private party going in the background. You might be able to hear the band. There's booze in a truck and for free food in the driveway. These parties and these events, people hired are paying $100 to go to a show.
Right.
They're paying $20 and they're food and booze. The band. Almost lost. But that's the thing. I played it up.
All right. Thanks, Dan. I didn't notice that yet. So anyway, what I was getting at, bringing up the whole Woodstock thing, is I wanted to just follow through for a few minutes and like Woodstock '94, for example, the first one 25 years later. Some of the returning acts were the band, Santana, Grateful Dead, Joe Cocker, Country Joe McDonald, Crosby, Stills Nash, Jefferson Airplane, and they also had a double album come out at the end of the concert that went platinum. And they only sold, there was 350,000 people estimated to be in attendance, which was much more than the $164,000 worth of tickets they sold. Now I just want to briefly move to Woodstock '99. Now Woodstock '99 was a complete disaster. It was marred by looting, arson, violence, and rapes. And they were lighting speaker towers on fire. Cars and trucks that were like full of fuel, they were lighting them on fire. They were pelting the people up on the stage with different things. I mean, I guess the conditions got out of control there. This one wasn't handled properly. They didn't have enough sanitation, enough water, enough food. And they say there was a particular song that a particular band sang that kind of got everybody going kind of in a violent way. And I don't know what that was exactly. But '99, there were 3 deaths. 800 people were hospitalized. 500 were treated in medical tents. I mean, it got really violent. In fact, I'm going to do something here real quick. I've got a couple of pictures to show. Okay, like Woodstock '99. I had to show this one. Okay, and let's see. Then we had. This is what Woodstock '99 turned into.
Oh yeah, which one?
But before all that went down, we had this.
Oh, I'm sorry. I felt you trying to block it. You're like that cat. You open up the door to the cat.
But one in every crowd.
I ain't going down. I want that one.
And let's see. I've got to remove that. Okay.
So.
All right. So Woodstock '99 really deteriorated. It became a complete disaster. It called in the state troopers and other law enforcement to get control over the crowd because they were going completely mad there, And so Coachella started in the backdrop, 1999, the same year as Woodstock '99, obviously. A couple of months later with Coachella, well, their insurance went up 40%. And they were trying to do everything humanly possible. They had misting tents. They had tents you could go in to take a break. They had plenty of sanitation, free water, all the water you could drink. So they were really trying to do everything right at Coachella. But that was in the backdrop. And so the first year, they lost $850,000. And even some of the acts that performed at Coachella agreed to take deferred payments whenever the group Golden Voice, I think it was called, finally got caught up. But they finally all got paid. And from that point on, though, it did improve. They couldn't put it on the following year in 2000, but starting in 2001, I believe they've had a concert at Coachella, every year since, which is in Indio, California, out in the hot desert. It gets hot out there. So Dan, you were doing a lot of looking into a lot of things today, concert-wise. What have you got to say for yourself?
Well, just to kind of touch on what you were just talking about, how they lost money their first year. Well, I know from experience that's usually the case. When you come up with a new idea and you try to implement it, there's gonna be snags.
Yeah.
But the first year I did Ride for Dime, I lost $11,000 out of my own pocket.
Oh wow. That's
so
painful.
but you learn from what you did wrong.
Right.
What business doesn't lose money the first 5 years?
Yeah.
I believe
So
they teach that in college, guys, right? Small business, when you profit, it takes about 5 years.
Uh-oh.
I know.
I think we lost Lou.
Yeah, we lost him again. It's going to be, I think, a recurring thing. I mean, given where he's at and the way he's trying to be on.
Oh, there he is.
There he is. I'm going to say, when I play San Francisco in the green room, they have a sign in the green room that says no covers because they broadcast now.
God.
Royce's show in trouble. Royce, it's okay. I found when other people do it, and if you put a woman's butt on it, you'll get millions of hits and you won't get in trouble. So quick, Dan, find us a woman's ass and we can put it on the front of this. Don't get mad at me. You know it's true.
No.
I'll be quiet now.
Well, as far as, the way concerts are today, and you got to know where concerts originated from. What was the very beginning of the concerts?
Right.
And, I did some research, and concerts really began in the end of the 18th century into the 19th century. And basically the same type of format they had back then. We still carried it on somewhat, but it's been refined a lot. Like the first concerts was more, the way I could compare it, be like at a food court with musicians in the background. People didn't pay attention to the music so much. They were there for the social activity. There was talking, and nobody really listened to the music. But over a period of time, people realized, hey, music's not so bad. But then people were actually made fun of. If you paid attention to the music, that wasn't cool of you.
Shit.
Hey guys,
I tried to get my headset, but I couldn't get it. Stuck in the Beamer over there.
Another thing I wanted to bring up was the most attended rock concert in history. And I've got a couple of pictures, as you might imagine. And the most attended rock concert in history, 3.5 million plus change, was Rod Stewart live at the Copacabana Beach in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, 1994. And if you look at some of these pictures, this is Copacabana Beach in Rio de Janeiro. I mean, look at the people. There's 3.5 plus million people. There was one other concert actually took place before this, I think, that tied it. And I don't really know the guy. I've got his name written down here.
I think he's a French guy.
George Benjour. Yeah. And same place, Copacabana. And he was prior to Rod Stewart. He had 3 million. And then we had Gene Michael.
That's
Gene
what happens
Michael
when you only have one here.
Here's another Copacabana at night. Look,
Brazil,
see the boats
Brazil's
up here. Wow, that's just amazing. Yeah, but I want to read. I want to read some of these other ones here. This Gene Michael Jari in Moscow, 1997, also had 3.5 million. That's the one that tied Rod Stewart 3 years later. 3.5 million in Moscow. Then the next one was AC/DC and Metallica in 1991 in Moscow.
That's with Pantera as well.
With Pantera as well. Thank you, Dan. that was 1.6 million in attendance. And then we had Paul Van Dyke and Carl Cox and Van Buren. None of these names I know. At Dart Mound in 2000, that had 1.6 million. The Rolling Stones were in Rio. They had 1.5 million in 2001, it looks like. And then what I mentioned earlier, that was that Jean Michael Jotti. That was the Bastille Day in Paris. That was 2 million. And then, I already mentioned the other one that was also at the Copacabana prior to Rod Stewart. There was 3 million. So, yeah, 1.5 up to 3.5. Two of them at 3.5, one at 3.0, and then all points in between. Those are some massive concerts.
I don't see how you can keep control of that many
I don't-
people.
Exactly.
You know, there's so many elements you got to think about there. You know, porta potties. You know, these people have to go to the bathroom somewhere. Everybody goes to the bathroom, so you have to have
Yeah.
some type of facilities for that. People
What are they
need they need food. I mean, it's like a huge
Right.
city. I mean, you've just mobilized an entire city remotely that you got to take care of somehow.
Right.
A very large city.
Right. Well, let's see. Let's switch to, one of the bigger venues that's been going on every year now. Once again, is Coachella. And here's a little Coachella poster that's kind of blurry, kind of an embarrassment. But here's a better one here. This is Coachella.
Well, let's talk about Coachella again for a second.
Yeah, let's do it. Now, Lou, have you been to a Coachella concert?
And then we lost it. This is going to be difficult.
My favorite band.
Yeah.
Well, when I go toward the signal, it's where the band is. And so it's either I'm going to be like blasting loud signal or no signal. I'm like back corner of a private tennis court. Get this, so you can hear me. Coachella. When Radiohead, which is one of my favorite, was the first signed band to play Coachella, it changed everything. And if you look that up, they were also the highest paid band, which was kind of weird because it was kind of like when Metallica bitched about free music online with their songs. Here was this underground band, Metallica, that was like fight the power, going, wait a minute, we're pissed that, remember that, what was the name of that? Napster was the name. Remember when Napster had their shit? Yeah. They were all bitching like bitches.
Right.
Music. Dude, you guys are already selling amazing amounts of music underground anyway. Of all the people that shouldn't bitch, it's you. But they bitches. Then Radiohead plays.
Right.
Great. Also under. So what do? They charge high, and they're signed. The whole thing about new bands that you've never seen before. Suddenly, here comes Radiohead, which you may not know who they were big already.
Right.
That changed thing. Next thing you know, you had the boys that I sent you a video on this week that sound like Led Zeppelin.
Oh, Greta Van.
Yeah. 2017, 19, both of those bands headline Coachella. I believe Beyonce, if you look that up. Okay, now you got this carpet shit. You got the carpet. They're all, look at me at Coachella. That changed everything. Coachella was about. It was an underground badass thing to discover new bands.
Right.
I rant on that. I'm done.
Now, Lou, what I asked you a minute ago, have you been to the Coachella concerts, any of them?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay, good. When was the last time you were there?
Pardon?
When were you there last?
A long time ago. It was in the early, I'm going to say it was probably 2012, 2013, around there.
Did they do a good job? Did they do a good job with all the facilities and stuff?
Yeah, it was amazing. They think if you've ever gone, there's that you guys had that one really cool towards Santa Barbara until they screwed that up a couple of years ago. I'm trying to remember the name. It was not the Seven Sisters Festival, but there was a smaller one you guys had that was really similar. And what's cool, they'll have like Alice in Wonderland thing, whatever, and you show up and everything is Alice in Wonderland. The year I was there, it was like psychedelic theme, so everything was really cool. It becomes like there are shows in the show. It's almost like a city.
Okay, yeah. Like, I heard there was like multiple venues at the show.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Sturgis even like that. When I was at the only festival that played in the entire United States in 2020, Sturgis motorcycle, 7 stages, 10 o'clock to 1 a.m. I was the whole thing. That was amazing. 600,000 people.
Oh yeah.
The news told you nobody went, and then they told you everyone got sick. That was both lies. Everybody went and nobody got sick. They couldn't link but one guy.
Now was that huge concert? Was that at the Buffalo Chip campground?
Which one?
Was that huge concert of Sturgis? Was that at the Buffalo Chip campground?
No, the way Sturgis works, it's the entire town. There's
Okay.
stages the entire town.
Well, no, I know, but
Yeah,
there's
it's amazing. You go
huge,
down there.
there's a huge campground with even a river in there and stuff that's called the Buffalo Chip Campground, and they have major headliners every single night there. So I was just curious if that was the venue.
That's the Harbor one. There's 2 shows. You go to see them, and then all night long in the camp, there are bands jamming. Badass people get together, just start jamming around the campfire, and they're like,
wow,
people.
So Dan,
dang it, I'm back.
Okay.
You know what? That's what happens when you play Neil Diamond. You see, they're playing Neil Diamond, and it knocks everything off the airwaves.
Right.
So, guys, I'm going to close with this, though. I'm going to say there are shows within the shows.
Right.
I know Dan's going to talk about some technology here in a bit.
Yeah.
But here's what I'm at. I'm at a party right now with a band playing. I'm on technology that keeps breaking during the party. Here's what you're supposed to do, people. You're supposed to be here now. 10 very important words. And I'm going to do that right now. And I want you to lead by example. I want you to follow. And when you find a show that you're at, get off your phones, get off your devices, get off your bracelets, get off everything, and go enjoy the damn band. I'm going to do that now.
Absolutely. No, that's what it's all about. Hey, thanks for coming in and trying anyway.
I did more than try. I showed up. Woody Allen.
No, I know you showed up, and we appreciate it, Lou. But I want you to right now. I want you to go enjoy your concert, enjoy your friends over there.
Yeah, I mean, it's all the booze you can drink and food for $20. I mean, what do you?
That's a good venue.
It's better than a concession stand.
Right. So, Dan, we were just earlier before the show even started, we were talking about some of the new technology, and
you know what technology I like to see is you applaud in front of my stage and yell my lyrics back at me. That's the best technology I could ever get, and I appreciate that.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But I get it. Yeah. I get it. We're in a new age. I know. I'm like Royce being pissed off that Jimi Hendrix is still not here. You know, when it comes to that. I get it, guys.
That's an accurate statement too. So you're right.
In Ringo Starr's apartment, how bad?
Yeah, I did. I love that picture. Yeah, that's a great
realism. There's Ringo taking the picture, right? Even going, hey, Jimmy's at my stove. That's great.
Well, Lou, you're not coming in real well. It's all like stills and broken audio.
I'm sorry, guys. I had to jump internet, and I think there's a lot of internet here. Guys, Chico, California, signing out from a live band, which you should be at now.
I know.
But meanwhile, if you're not, listen to these guys are the next best thing, man.
Right.
I will see you. Hasta Luigi next week.
Okay, next week for sure, buddy. We've been missing you the last few weeks.
See you, Lou.
Okay.
All
right. Thanks, Lou. We'll
thank God for technology.
See you next week for sure.
I'm going to do technology right now. Cheers.
All right, buddy. Take care. Have a good time. Okay. And we are live. I think.
Yeah, we're live.
So we were talking, I asked you a question. I wasn't sure how you were going to answer. You put that trailer up on the they're not calling it a tour anymore. It's more of a tribute kind of a thing.
The Pantera thing. Yeah,
they're
calling it a celebration of Pantera.
A celebration. Okay.
So, I'm good.
That's a little better.
Yeah,
and I was
good with
curious, so I asked you on Facebook, well, if they come anywhere near you, which I'm guessing they probably will, given where Dime and Vinny were from, are you going to go? And I think you said, and you're hoping maybe with your contacts, you could even video the show.
Yeah, well, not so much video of the show, but just interview the guys.
No, that would be great too.
Well,
Yeah.
just while they're in town. It doesn't even have to be at the show.
Yeah.
If they're all over at
Yeah.
Dimebag's house, and I can go over and interview them. Then that'd be cool.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. That would be really cool.
Well, the more I thought about it, I thought, well, it's still kind of early in the stages. They haven't even released the U.S. dates yet. So
Right. They released Mexico and South America or something like that.
Yeah.
Do they pay as much down there for tickets as we pay up here?
Oh, I have no idea, but I just know down there we're talking huge crowds. I mean, they've got a lot of heavy metal bands have huge followings out of South America and Mexico, and Pantera, they sold out every time they went there. I mean, just unbelievable support down there. So that's probably why they wanted to start it off down there with a bang,
right,
and then bring it on back up to the U.S.
Right.
And I still don't know. Most of those are stadium tours. And so I don't know how they'll do it here locally. We're like, is it going to be, at the Cotton Bowl? Is it going to be, at the Starplex Arena? I have no idea yet.
Right.
But, when I thought about that, I thought I'd love to interview the guys. It's been a long time since I've even seen those guys, actually. And I actually had Rita's number up, about to text her. I thought, nah, I'm just going to wait.
Right.
Because if I contact now, well, we don't have any dates yet, and we'll get back in touch with you. I'd rather wait till I hear a date and get something more solid.
Yeah. And now Rita, she was that Dime's girlfriend or?
Yeah, that was Dimebag's girlfriend.
Yeah, I remember you've talked about her a couple of times. She's got control over all the old tapes and the stuff that was never released and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, a whole lot of power behind all this Pantera stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And what does she live in Dime's house?
No, well, she still owns Dime's house, but she lives out in Hollywood.
Oh, I see.
She made the move out there, and that's one of the things too. Once she moved out there, the ride for Dime here locally pretty much shut down.
Oh, it did.
And so, it was kind of sad, because last weekend was Dimebag's birthday.
Right.
The way the tradition used to be on his birthday, when you would stand in front of his grave at 3:33 in the afternoon, everybody would do a shot, and it used to be huge crowds out there.
Oh yeah.
Now I go out there, there's like 5 people out there.
That's sad.
It's been 17 years. So it's
been a while. Yeah.
So, but there's really no representation of Pantera here locally as far as events or anything. Right. I had the only one. Well, there was one other called, Dime Fest. They did, I think, 1 or 2 years, and they faded away. And mine took off and kind of took the spot.
Right. Well, yeah, that's too bad. I mean, we've lost so many great people. I mean, so many musicians, and it just never, we're getting ready to lose, just because of their age. A lot of our favorites, over the next few years, it's already started. Really, I mean. I'm not looking forward to that, just ushers in a whole new era, and I don't know what to expect from it,
Well, like I've been mentioning here in the last few weeks, the next best thing is, as they pass on and these tribute bands continue, whether they're officially associated with the original artist or not, if they're good, they're good, No,
that's true. I mean, I enjoy them, and I watched that whole Elton John one the other night, but the whole time I was watching it, I saw Elton John when I was 17 or 18 at the Las Vegas Convention Center, and he was only 23 years old.
Yeah.
And I mean, you talk about top of your game, that age, and I had decent seats, and it was really funny because he's dressed as so flamboyant and stuff, but he's not going to change his clothes at the piano after every show. But what he did was change his sunglasses. I mean, and they were all like this big, so. He'd do a song, and then he'd take those glasses off and pull out another big silly pair of sunglasses. It was kind of funny. And then it was about maybe as many as 5 or even 6 years now. The Caesars chain in Las Vegas, they own a dozen casinos. Sent Betty and I free tickets to see Elton John at the Forum at Caesars Palace. At the $1 Million Piano, which is a small venue. There are no bad seats. And what a fantastic show that was.
Wow.
And, with all that stuff fresh in your mind, and you're watching a tribute band, I mean, you can't stop visualizing, because the guy sounded a lot like Elton John too.
Yeah, I was really impressed with that band. They sounded
And,
good.
and I was too. And I don't know who I was watching it with. Maybe Caitlin was there too. Yeah, I think Caitlin was there. And I can remember saying to her, "This guy really sounds like Elton John." He had a really good impersonation voice.
They also had 5 strings there. The violin, several violins, and a cello, and so they really had a good sound.
Good sound. Yeah, they did.
I got a little concerned.
It's gonna be a little weird when that's all we have left. Is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah. See, I've never seen Elton John. I've never seen him. So this is probably the closest I'll ever get. As a tribute. So I can get going back to the Pantera thing. I kind of see why a lot of people. I think this is going to be a big deal.
Yeah, I think it is too.
Because there's a whole nother generation has come up. Their parents listen to Pantera, and this is their chance to finally get their opportunity.
Right.
And it's not to me, it's a tribute band, but you still got 2 original members in there, which make it more like the original.
No, and not only that, I'm telling you, I really like Zakk Wylde's guitar playing.
Yeah. Well,
I really got into him when he was with Ozzy, and had the No More Tears album out and stuff like that. And it was a lot of just spotlight on him with that bullseye on his guitar, and I really liked the tone he got and the way he played. I was impressed from that day forward with his playing. And I'm not comparing him with Dimebag Darrell. I don't know who the most people think would be better or whatever. It's all a matter of what you like style wise, I guess.
Well,
I was glad that they at least chose somebody that was really talented.
Yeah, and they've got a couple of steps further as well. Like you talked about Zakk's bullseye guitar. Well, you won't see that at the Pantera shows.
Okay.
They're bringing in all of Dimebag's original guitars, all of his original gear, and not only that, they also signed up the original guitar tech that helped Dime get that sound in concert.
Okay.
So everything will be exactly the way it was during Pantera as far as Dimebag's gear and all that, with the exception of it's Zakk instead of Dime. So that'll be about as close as you're going to ever get.
But you know what? He'll probably be trying his best to play like Dime with Dime's equipment and Dime's tone. I think that'll be cool.
Yeah, they've already said that they're going to play the songs exactly the way they were written. They're not going to freelance.
They're not going to be improvising and
no. They're doing it exactly like the album. So, however Pantera sounded, that they're trying to duplicate that sound. So I think it's going to be pretty good.
That's going to be big. I think that's going to be big. Just what you told me adds a whole nother element that people are really going to get into.
Yeah. So, now if they continue after the tour and go in and record, I'm kind of against that. I don't know if they should record any new material. Go ahead, let's give them a tribute, from
what if it was
they already accomplished.
A bunch of stuff that Dime and them had already written, that just has, like the stuff, what's her name? The girlfriend?
Rita.
What if they took a bunch of that stuff, the old tapes, and did those songs?
That's probably what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Because I think there was actually almost an entire second Damage Plan album that was recorded, at least in pieces, that was never put out anywhere,
Right.
So, I can't see that. First of all, you got to remember too that Zakk has still got Ozzy. He's got whenever Ozzy does his thing again,
right.
He's also got BLS that was on. Well, in fact, he's on tour now, or he was on tour.
Well, he's got what's the name of his own band? It's
Black Label Society, BLS.
Black Label Society, correct.
And of course, now you look at the drummer that's replacing Vinny on this tour. He's with Anthrax, and Anthrax is on tour, and they were. So you got a lot of other things. They're not going to they're not going to give up their home base to do the Pantera thing. So they're going to do it for a while. Right. So we'll see what happens after the tour.
How that works out. Hey Dan, let's say hi to Eddie's Physical Media Talk. I go on Eddie's show every chance I get, and he plays just fantastic records, and he'll play music for a long time, and he plays really good stuff. I mean, when I go on his show and like Mr. Bizarro's show, I always hear a lot of stuff I don't normally hear, but I like every bit of it. So I feel like I'm living a sheltered life or something. So Eddie, how you doing, buddy? You feel like popping on the show and hanging out with us or something? I could just throw a link up for you if you're interested. Let me know if you're interested.
Well, Eddie says Zakk will be able to pull it off. Yeah, he will. I mean,
Yeah, and that's how I felt when I found out it was Zach. Yeah.
well, we always knew it was going to be Zach from right after Dime was killed. That rumor was going around.
Oh, I didn't know
No,
that.
yeah. So Zach was the first choice since 2005. I would say since 2005, and Zach was always on this. He goes, "Whenever you need me, guys. Whenever you need me." And
Right.
of course, the call never came while Vinny was alive. Of course,
No. Yeah.
Vinny had no, he did not want this reunion or whatever to happen.
Right.
But I've kind of reconciled with that as well. Because I know what he didn't want Pantera to get back together, but this is, as long as they call it a tribute and not saying they're Pantera, because they're not really Pantera. I mean, we could talk about that all night, but anyway.
No, I know.
But yeah, it's pretty controversial in the metal industry right now, and I think because of the controversy, that I think it's drawing more attention to itself, which is going to increase the numbers at the show.
Right.
Like they say, the only bad what do you call it? Bad publicity. Any publicity is good publicity, whether it's good or bad.
I know. There's no bad publicity really in entertainment. I mean, it'd have to really be bad to be bad.
Because people pay to get their name out there, and if a controversy does it for free, that's even better. So I think that's the same situation as it was back in 2004 with Pantera. After Dime was killed. I mean, before Dime was killed, they ended up doing Damage Plan instead. But the way.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to kind of revert this back to what our original subject was about the history of concerts and all that. And, rock and roll actually kind of took a few steps backwards because, when concerts first started being formed, they ignored the musicians, basically. And then over a period of time, people realized, well, hey, the music's pretty good too. So people wanted to hear the music. So now the society changed. Let's be quiet during the music, and let's all applaud at certain times. And it just kind of phased inward. And but then it became too stuffy. It became really stuffy. Then you had, and music back then is basically played by symphonies and orchestras.
Right.
And then you had one guy that broke away. He said, I'm going to do something of my own. The guy's name was Franz Liszt. I think he's a French guy. And so he went out on his own. So he was like the first single performer away from the orchestra. He was a piano player, a pianist.
Right.
And this is where set lists came into being. It's kind of weird where the beginnings of everything happened, because all bands have set lists when they're on stage, so they know what song comes next.
Absolutely.
Well, this guy never had a set list. He had an urn, and people dropped pieces of paper into the urn with their request, and he would just pull out the request and he would play it. Wow. So he didn't really have a format. Right. But then after that, he came out with his own set list. I'm going to play this. But then people start shouting out, well, we want you to play this. So I can kind of see how rock concerts are now, because everybody's always yelling, play this song, play this song.
Right.
So it's weird how things used to be are still kind of the way they are now. The blueprint is still there.
Right.
But after a while, it became boring because, you got the audience and they're just watching the musician. Well, people realized, well, if they had other things to look at, more special effects. Well, when you look at the early 60s, when you look at some of these video shoots, some of these bands, very boring. Just a band and some lights. There's no special effects.
Yeah, no special effects. Yeah.
Until the mid 60s. When the mid 60s came around, then the psychedelic era hit. And people wanted to see more than just a musician. I mean, they're seeing things in their head with the acid and everything else. And they wanted to share that experience. So what they would do, they would get, like the Grateful Dead did this. They would get a projector lens and they put oil on it. Then they project that image behind the band, and they would give you that psychedelic, fluid look.
Right. I know exactly. I know the exact look you're talking about.
So that's when people started learning. Hey, there's different elements of a concert. It's not just the musicians. There's also the special effects. And then the person that really started it all was Alice Cooper in 1972, I think it was, or 71. They decided they were going to use some smoke bombs at one of their concerts.
Okay.
So one of the guys got 3 smoke bombs and tied all 3 fuses together, dropped each smoke bomb into a coffee can and placed it in front of the stage. Well, at a certain part of the concert, he would kind of crawl out there on stage and he would light the fuse, and these smoke bombs would go off. And they said they would smoke the hell out of these clubs.
Right, right.
Of course, then he started adding in, the guillotine, more theatrics, more than just the music. It was more of a performance,
Right.
even if it's part of the music. And then technology kept growing. Next thing you know, Pink Floyd in 1974 comes out with laser beams.
Right.
And that was all new in 1974. And of course, and then suddenly Led Zeppelin noticed that. So in 1975, Led Zeppelin started doing lasers. Then the Who started doing lasers. So lasers were the big thing.
Right.
So over the years, as these concerts, they keep progressing with special effects, and it's really interesting to see, how it evolved and how it's continuing to evolve.
Right.
And it's kind of odd too. The other night when I was at that tribute show, I looked around at the venue, and it's a beautiful venue, very comfortable. One of them, these mid-sized venues are so comfortable now, and I think
I know
these have got to have been designed by baby boomers, because we went through years of hell at concerts, of being overcrowded, sweating on each other, trying to find the bathrooms, trying to get something at the concession stand was almost impossible. It was just a nightmare. But we continued going. But they took all that knowledge that we learned and slowly made us a venue now. We now have venues where we're comfortable. I mean, I sat at I sat at the show tonight eating a Philly cheesesteak, having a drink, nice and comfortable. And I said, this is a baby boomer had to do this and is making a lot of money off it now too.
Right.
So that's just another evolution of
I don't hardly like the large venues anymore. I mean, you can go to Vina Robles Amphitheater, where I saw Alice Cooper, and that's a small venue. Once you get past the seats, there's a lawn area that's really cheap. You can just throw a blanket out, and that's still great seats. In fact, there's more expensive seats behind them at tables where you actually can get served and stuff. So I mean, that's a perfect venue there, and good size. And actually, sadly, there were still a lot of openings. I mean, this row that I was sitting on, I was on the left end of it. There's a couple of people on the right end, and all the seats between us were empty. And that was Alice Cooper, and I loved that show. It was fantastic.
Dude, I'm so ready for October. I'm sitting here like an idiot. Every time I hear Alice Cooper, I'm getting like so pumped for this October concert. It's like Christmas. Seriously, it's like Christmas morning for me. I'm like, come on. I'm like, come on.
Not far from here, guys. A couple hours south is Santa Barbara, and that you've got the Santa Barbara Bowl, where Betty and I saw Rod Stewart maybe 3 years ago, and he's coming back again. And I think. And I'm probably going to miss them, but Alison Krauss and Robert Plant are playing there too at the Santa Barbara Bowl. And there's really not bad seats there either. I mean, it's just a bowl, and it comes up pretty steep. I mean, person in front of you could practically stand on their chair, and you wouldn't even have to get up to look over the top of them. I mean, it really is a bowl. I mean, so all the seats are good, and you can get a little bit far away, but not bad, So all those places are just great venues. And then we've got, I think it's this coming weekend, we've got, we have a Well Rock Reservoir over by Cayucas, California. It's their drinking water. And every year they have a Well Rock festival, and I think that's next weekend. And but there's just a lot of, with these wineries up here now, it's just crazy. We've got, I think the last I heard, we have 250 wineries, and now we're starting to get dozens and dozens of breweries. I would say just in Atascadero where I live, there's probably 4. Then between us and Paso Robles, technically it's still in the Paso Robles city limits, but it's about 4 miles from us. They have what they call Tin City, where they put all these big metal buildings in. People could put whatever businesses they wanted in them. And right off the bat, Firestone took over a huge one, and it really expanded it and got Firestone Brew. They've got the brewing and bottling company in there with gigantic stainless steel, things that they're brewing in. And, the conveyor comes around with the bottles on it and pops the tops on. And it's a nice restaurant too, with a bar. And in the bar, those drinks on the conveyor come through, and that may be just more of a prop because the rest of the brewing things across the street, I don't see how they're getting them over there. So I think that's just a prop for fun. But even the food's decent. Around the corner, there's another brewery, and it's real popular. There's always live music there, and a lot of people hang out there. A lot of my friends hang out there. They always try to get me to go, but you know what? I have a lot to do. I can't go hang out and drink every night. It becomes habit for me.
Hey, Royce, I put that Alice Cooper video that I showed you earlier. That's down backstage. You want to see it? Show Caitlin where. We'll show Caitlin where.
Yeah, let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at this, Kate.
1971, 72.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, that's something else.
You know, that was in 71 and 72, so you know,
yeah,
that must have been horrifying back then.
I love Alice. I love what he does. It's like a lot of people, really started thinking he's like a witch, whatever. And I'm like, oh, please, he's harmless. Quit it.
Yeah. Dan, were you there when I did that shock rock show? And I know Rachel showed up. I think that's the first time Rachel's ghost now, but Rachel ever came on the show. You were there, weren't you?
Yeah. I was probably out in the audience. I don't know if I was actually on that night.
Oh, okay, yeah, because Alice Cooper is considered the godfather of shock rock, and
awesome.
I really enjoyed that show. That was a fun show. Man.
I know it's gonna be good. I know it's gonna be good. I trust him. I've been following him since I was 16, so I know all about it. It's just, Northern Colorado. If you really think about it, it's like where I'm at and where the Budweiser Event Center is, which is like 20 minutes away from where I am. We're nothing but like country. So having somebody like Alice Cooper, even Judas Priest is supposed to show up in November.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. That's tempting. But
well, Caitlin, I wanted to ask you now. You keep telling me about this Alice Cooper podcast you go on.
Yeah, nice with Alice Cooper.
It lasts like 4 or 5 hours or something like that.
Yeah, it's not 5 hours. And honestly, that's probably the most safe. He keeps me company at night. I tell you, just doing whatever I'm dealing with, just listening to him, it makes it enough. I mean, he's funny, he's sarcastic, he was sarcastic Friday. I was in stitches. And I could feel like, somebody's in a mood.
Now, does he do this all by himself?
He does that. He has I believe he has a radio station in his home in Phoenix. I mean, all that. Then he has an engineer. He has a producer. He actually came back from Hawaii. Now in Hawaii, he took his radio station with him.
Okay.
And he has plans to take the radio show with him when he kicks off the fall tour.
Okay. Wow.
I enjoy it, though. It's great stuff. He plays a lot of rock and roll, a lot of trivia, a lot of freaky facts, which are pretty weird. I want to know who looks up those, because those are pretty weird. makes me question sometimes. Like,
right.
Who's looking up this stuff? You or somebody else?
I don't know.
But I like it. He's fun. He's very knowledgeable. I tell you what, if he was like a history rock and roll professor, I would take his class every day just to learn. Wow. Seriously, it makes me feel like I'm back in the history of rock and roll class at
Okay, I'm gonna pop another picture up here real quick.
Go for it.
Yeah, this is the future.
Xylo band, huh?
Wow.
Now, Dan, I got to ask you, who was the band?
Coldplay is the one that really put this out there, and
Gotcha.
I've seen a lot of videos of their concerts with everybody wearing these wristbands, and it's totally controlled by a main keyboard. And this guy, he can control every single wristband in the stadium. He can do it in patterns. He can make it like waves.
You're kidding me.
It's like a movie screen that he's doing, and it's all on everybody. Everybody's a pixel, basically. Is what that is. And you know, to me, it's pretty cool. But you know, first of all, you know, those things aren't free. Somebody's got to pay for it. You know, and how is that passed on to the ticket price? And you know, and they're only good for one use. So once you leave the concert, the wristband never works again.
Right.
And but I saw some videos where people actually going in and changing things, and they can make them flash afterwards. But it's, you know, you got to be an electronics technician to do that.
Hey Dan, I got a question to ask you. I don't know whether it was yesterday or today, but George Call, Aska, heavy metal vocalist, and our friend, especially you've known him forever. He made a post on Facebook, and he said that they had dropped out of a venue because the promoters didn't mention the names of all the bands.
Yeah,
they didn't mention ask you. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that, and that's you know, it's not typical of a club to do that. Usually, when they've got, you know, they'll list all the bands and
list all the bands. Yeah,
and all they did was headlining the headliner. They never mentioned any of the other bands they're opening up, and they said no, we're not. You know, even though the headliner are, you know, those guys are friends with Aska.
Right.
But you know,
he said something like that. Yeah.
They had nothing to do with what happened. So the bands are good, but it's the venue that should have promoted all the bands and not just a headliner.
Exactly.
You know, and Aska's type of band, you know, they can take it or leave it. They're not a desperate band, you know, but all they ask for is a little bit of advertisement.
Right. Well, that's interesting what you just played. That was Coldplay, you said. Boy, I don't know. I part of it's kind of interesting. I mean, well, it's exciting to see all the lights and stuff like that. I just don't know if I would want that to be such a dominant part of the show, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, you know, like I was saying earlier, you know, when concerts first began back in the 18th century, people would gather and they wouldn't pay attention to the musician, you know, and after a while, well, now you musicians became the focus point, which is where it should have been. And now it seems like we're kind of taking an eye off the ball again, and, you know, distracting the audience member instead of focusing on the music.
Right.
You know? So all in all, I guess as a whole experience, I mean, I think you get the same thing. You just get a, you know, stadium full of people, you know, like a sporting event. You know, sporting events might be okay because, you know, at halftime, I mean, that's cool because everybody's focusing on the effects.
Right.
You know, but I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, I wouldn't want to go to every. I mean, if you go to some concerts and you're expecting it, you know, and it's somebody you really like, I'd say cool. but I don't know if I'd want to go to every concert and that was there. You know what I'm saying?
But I think that would also it'd be limited to huge stadiums because you're not going to get the same effect in a club or even a mid-sized club.
Right.
It'd have to be a huge stadium. So, and that's what I was thinking too. When you got a huge stadium like that, say it holds 50, 60,000 people.
Right.
Well, when the band or the promoter, whoever buys these wristbands, and wants it part of the show, of course they're going to get a huge discount. Buying bulk like that. Of course, then they're going to take that price, probably just put it on the price of the ticket, and maybe jack it up a few percentage points to make a little. Right. They might even make a profit off these wristbands.
Right.
And of course, the consumer is going to pay it all. And that just keeps adding on the ticket price. And some people don't. Would they rather have a cheaper ticket price and less visual? So it's kind of a balance.
Yeah. Right. Right. I'm still pretty much used to just going to hear the music.
Same.
Hear the music and see my favorite performers and stuff perform. I mean, there's a lot of venues I can't even imagine. I mean, concerts that I've seen the Stones at and stuff like that, it's pretty much just all about the band, and going forward.
Exactly. It's like when there's.
I know bands like Kiss put a huge production on. I mean, I've never been a big fan. Huh?
It's great production for sure. I think I was just thinking about this based from Dan's video, which, by the way, thanks for sharing that. I think that was just seriously.
Yeah,
I love
thanks
that skit.
for sharing that. I appreciate seeing that.
Yeah. What more else stuff? Let's do it, man. He's not even on air until tomorrow night. Let's do it. But I was just saying, I know, but no. I was just saying, wouldn't you put Alice Cooper on there too for big stage production? You think?
I don't think Alice is kind of stuck with the same blueprint for years, so I don't see him changing anything much than what he's been doing.
That's true.
That's a really good point. There's no reason to change. It's still working.
Not.
And that's who he is.
Exactly. I like him the way he is.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm just saying. Alice is pretty much one that started all these special effects anyway. So
exactly.
He's like,
right.
Well, even little simple things, even technology stuff, like they said they would rip pillows open, get all the feathers, and then they have the strobe lights going and drop the feathers. So I guess you got feathers and strobe lights, and just weird effects like that. So,
Well, and they did the same thing at the show that I saw in April. Alice did. It was strobe lights, but it wasn't feathers. It was kind of like the little ticker tape pieces.
Oh, okay.
Going everywhere, and the strobe lights going through them.
Yeah. That's gonna be cool.
So he modified it, or he learned. Feathers are probably harder to pick up.
Probably are.
I was gonna say, it's like I've read this music. I review metal music albums, so I read a lot of reviews. And there's a concert reviewer that says, I don't know, he gave Alice a concert. He was just like. You have to be honest, but dude, he's like, he needs to change his act. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, shut up.
Yeah.
Change
something changing something that works. It's been working for the last 5 decades.
Right.
Exactly. I'm like, oh, it's so outdated. Nobody seems to be enjoying the concert. I'm like, yeah, right.
Well, listen, guys. I mean, after that big legendary concerts and our personal favorites last week. A little bit of concert talk tonight. We've just hit 1 hour, and I think I'm just going to call it tonight.
That's fine.
Okay.
And I want to thank everybody. Well, I want to thank you guys, Kate and Dan, and I want to thank everybody in the chat. We really appreciate you showing up. We've been trying to limit the shows to an hour, and they've been going over, and they kind of seem to be getting a little longer each time. And I'd really like to get it back. I just read. Where YouTube's favorite show to recommend is 10 minutes long.
Oh yeah.
What?
We'll never be able to do that. Not on this playlist.
That's not Michael's show, right?
When it comes to construction and some of my other playlists, I've got 8 and 10 minute and 5 minute and 6 minute videos. So do it there, but you can't do it on a live podcast. What are you going to do in 10 minutes?
Well, there's a couple of reasons why YouTube likes them at 10 minutes because they can't sell advertising on a video unless it's 8 minutes or longer, I believe.
Right. Okay.
So if it's under 8 minutes, they can't sell advertising on that video. Said, well, let's make it where I could sell ads, but no, let's keep it too long.
Right. So anyway, I want to thank everybody once again. Thanks everybody in the chat, and appreciate you guys all showing up. And Kate and Dan, thank you very much. And
anytime, my friend.
That's what's going on in Royce's world today. And good night, everybody. We're gonna head out.
Good night.
I feel like I've been on an hour and a half with Dan because we were talking earlier.
Oh yeah.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.